Listen, home buying season is upon us, ladies and gents. So let's talk. Let's talk for a second. Spring has sprung. Home buying season is upon us, and listen, we're here. A lot of buyers, and I'm excited about it. A lot of offers to draw, and I'm excited about it. So I'm just excited for my clients and just getting them going into their, whether they're it's a duplex, income property, whether it's a dream home, whatever it is. I'm super excited. So sorry that I'm tardy for the party. I'm excited because she's closing on her house. She, me, her, that is. Excited about that. So yeah, it's been a very busy in a good way and a bit stressful way couple of weeks. So yeah. Thank you everybody for joining me for this week's and today's Tuesday tip at 2. Thank you for those who are subscribing, who are liking, who are commenting, who are sharing. Thank you for those who are newcomers. Be sure to follow. Listen, follow, like, subscribe. I appreciate it. And I'm welcoming those who are looking, okay, for a realtor in the Philadelphia and surrounding suburb area. I appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in. So let's get into it. What are we talking about? Did I say who I am? It is Danielle J. Mitchell, your up and coming queen of real estate. And we are talking about renting to own. This rent to own stuff gets me a little riled up. It gets me a little riled up. It gets me a little stirred up because so many people are getting taken advantage of. I have the privilege of dealing with many buyers, many people who are looking, first time home buyers in particular, and, just people who are excited to get on the home buying journey. And unfortunately, they can run into, out of the desperation, of wanting to be a homeowner, can, get sucked down these rabbit holes that are not real, okay, and they are not fruitful. And one of them being a rent to home situation, okay? I've heard of close friends and family members getting caught up in this and it not turning out for their benefit. It's actually turning out to be a nightmare, okay? So we're going to dive right on into it. Rent to own. What does that mean? Some people have heard the term. A lot of people get enticed by this idea of rent to own because you can rent a property with the hopes of owning the property. So that's typically what the rent to own situations are. It's like, oh, I'm going to rent this house out and my payments are going towards the purchase of this house. All right. The reason why it's problematic is because you either rent or you either own. Either. Those are the two things that you're typically doing. Now, there is a caveat. You can rent a property. You can lease or rent a property. They're same, interchangeable. Rent or lease a property with the option to purchase. Okay? You can do it with the option to purchase. That is a possibility. Sometimes on the MLS, which, is the real estate database, right? You can see properties or leases that are on there where it says, hey, there is an option to buy. That just means that the landlord, who is the owner, right, will say, hey, if at some point you want to buy the house, I'm open to the possibility of you buying the house. That's what that means. All right. Now, there are different states that will have some paperwork for rent to own situations. You have to go based on what that state is saying. There are some areas in Pennsylvania that have documentation that helps to support rent to own situations, but I'm so leery of it. Okay, let's talk about it. Rent to own people. Buyers do not get the deed until final payment is made. So if you're setting up some sort of a payment thing, usually it has to do with your rent that you're paying. Sometimes it could be scenarios where you're paying your rent amount plus this X amount of dollars. Okay, but you're not getting the deed. You're not getting anything that says I own the property currently, right? Contracts are rarely recorded. So this is what I'm talking about when I say there's no paperwork for this stuff. Typically, you only have the a lease, which is the legal document for you to rent a property, or you have an agreement to sell, right, which gets you on the track of owning the property. Okay. Now, many contracts have provisions specifically prohibiting recording. Most are not notarized, which is required for recording. When you go through the home buying process, okay, you have a title company, which is your notary. They also are a notary, and they are notarizing the deed, the title, all the stuff. They're doing a bunch of stuff that ensures it is now your house. It is now your property. Okay. When you're doing a rent to own, a lot of times, it's a handshake. There's no real paperwork, right? You might write up a promissory note, but it's not a thing. A lot of times when I hear people talking about it, they ask, "Hey, you have any rent to owns?" And I have to, bust their bubbles, and I say, "That's not a thing. It's a thing, but it's not a thing. It's not a. It's not something that you can substantiate with, proper evidence, proper paperwork, right? That's essentially what we're talking about. Outside parties do not understand the buyer has a claim on the house. Who knows can you verify that you have claim to this house, right? How can you verify? How can you verify that you're either the owner or you're the tenant, right? You're either the landlord, or not. How can you verify that you are in this lease to own situation? Okay. Unrecorded deals are unknown to people. The only people, for example, if the owner slash landlord were to, subsequently, unfortunately pass away, nobody knows about the transaction. Even if you had something in writing, legally, it's still not your house. Legally, it is still not your house. And so all those extra payments that you're paying could be all for naught, if you will. Okay. There are sellers who refuse to honor contracts, right? Who refuse to honor, the handshake, the verbal agreement when it comes to that, right? Um, Especially if the buyer passes away, um, or the seller's family if the seller passes away, right? There's no guarantees on it, right? Here's the thing. If you're in a rent to own situation, you fall on hard times, the rent to own agreement is nullified, right? Is voided. You can't get into any programs like, there's no home repair assistance for you, no state assistance to you if you fall behind on payments, no local assistance programs when you fall behind on payments. Any workouts are at the discretion of the seller. You might be eligible for a PA, and this is local PA rent rebate. But that is all. If something happens, and that's the beauty of owning something, because you can be eligible for home repair assistance, be eligible for programs that will help you with your mortgage, those different things, because in all actuality, mortgage company do not want you to fall behind or have hardship or have to take the house from you. So there are so many programs, whether it's local, whether it's state, whether it's federal, that can help you in the event that you have own the home, and you fall behind or there are some issues. Okay. Well, I still want to say, oh, title searches. Your title cannot be insured. Again, talking about a title company, it ensures that there are no clouds on the title, that no liens on the property, all those kinds of things. With a rent to own situation, none of that's happening. So you could be rent to owning, and maybe you make it to the finish line and wind up having $100,000 worth of liens on the property, right? Try to calm down. Okay, just know I have my window open because it's hot. Just know, rent to own Don't do it. A lot of times, I've literally heard people inquire about rent to own, and they say, "Hey, this thing is telling me that if I put down, $10,000 and blah 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 blah, and do it over the next however many months, that and then plus 20,000, all this stuff," and I'm like, "What? Why would you do that?" And I really had to explain to a person. I think they said like 50,000. I had to explain to a person, you could take that same 50,000, pay down your debts, pay down whatever's on your credit card, pay it off, all that stuff, get your credit score up, and probably still have money left over for your closing costs. And you had enough credit, enough of a great credit score, enough for your closing costs to go buy your house. And you could do it probably in less time. Or, as I talked about in a previous video, there is NACA that does not even worry about your credit score, and it's no down payment and no closing costs. There are ways, ladies and gents, to secure a house outside of a rent-to-own situation that at the end of the day takes time. So why don't you spend that same time and energy just getting your credit together and then moving forward? That is my plea today. That's my play. Get your credit right or do the NACA process. All right. Because at the end of the day, NACA will have you in the house sooner than a rental. All right. Cleaning up your credit and saving your money will probably have you sooner and guaranteed. These are these are guaranteed possibilities as opposed to trying to do a rental. If this helped you, listen, if a family member, if somebody is out here, I'm gonna give me a rental, or I'm trying to get a rental, or I'm in a rental home situation, please send them this video, send them my information. Also, reminder to like, subscribe, comment. Book a consultation. Thank you for those who are utilizing that. Always look forward to hearing from you guys, but you can book one at book.djmrealtyco.com. Again, you can book a consultation. Take your time, it's worth it. Yes, take your time, it is worth it, as a commenter has said. Book.djmrealtyco.com. Remember, there's no place like home, no place like home buying. And you can do it. You can get it done. Book that consultation and we could talk about it. All right. I will see you next week for another Tuesday tip at 2. Have a wonderful, lovely day and week. Bye-bye.